The highly anticipated matchup between the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins will take place today in Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Both teams are expected to feature stellar offenses in a game that should have the potential for being a high-scoring game. Hello, everyone. My name is Brett McDurphy. Welcome back to another edition of Countdown to Kickoff between the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. This game, as I mentioned, is going to be one of the most high-scoring games of the week. There's a few other games that I'm intrigued by, but this game, obviously, for being a Bills fan, is one of the ones that I am intrigued by. We will talk about this and more today on our Countdown to Kickoff show. We will have keys to the game, key matchups, as well as we'll get into the inactives for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. But before we get into this, we have to hit our intro. Welcome back, Bills Mafia, to Countdown to Kickoff. We are just moments away from the start of Week 9 for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. This game in Highmark Stadium is going to be an electric atmosphere out there in Buffalo. Number one, the Bills are back in Buffalo for the first time in a number of weeks. They did play against the Tennessee Titans at home, but they haven't been home in 4 out of the last 5 games. Now they're back at home in front of an electric atmosphere out there in Buffalo. In Week 8, the Buffalo Bills defeated the Seattle Seahawks 31-10 in a dominant road victory. The Bills made the trek across the country to Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington, where the Bills' offense continued to show signs of dominance, led by their underrated running back in James Cook. Cook carried the ball a total of 17 times for 111 yards. He also punched the ball into the end zone twice in that game, and the Bills' leading rusher found the end zone twice. Can he do the same thing today against the Miami Dolphins? The trickle effect was felt in the wide receiver room as well in that game. While Amari Cooper did not have a big statistical game, receivers Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman showcased that they can be focal points in the Bills' offense. Today, the Buffalo Bills will be without Amari Cooper, and we will see if that trickle effect will be felt in this game without him in there. Buffalo's defense remains dominant in many statistical categories. The tandem of Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford at cornerback is proving to be unstoppable. Now, with Rasul Douglas having a tremendous job that he's done in stopping the run, he's going to have to play an even bigger part because their cornerback in Christian Benford, their lockdown cornerback, will be inactive today with a wrist injury as well, the same injury that Amari Cooper is dealing with. He is in a contract year this year and needs to step up this week in order for him to lock in an extension with the Buffalo Bills before the season ends. Now, on the other hand, let's talk about those Miami Dolphins. Miami lost last week to the Arizona Cardinals 28-27 in Tua Tagovailoa's return from a concussion. Bear with me, guys, 1 second. I apologize, guys. I do have a little bit of bronchitis, and I'm trying to deal with it throughout the show. You may hear me cough a little bit throughout the show, and I do apologize about that. I'm going to take a sip of water just to catch my breath. My throat tends to get a little bit dry, so that's what bothers me a little bit in this. But let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. They lost last week to the Arizona Cardinals 28-27 in that Tua's return from concussion. While the offense may be out of rhythm with his return, the time is now for the Miami Dolphins to save their season. Miami is currently trailing the Buffalo Bills by 3.5 games. With a loss today in Week 9, their chances of capturing their first AFC East title since 2008 will be in trouble. Can Buffalo find a way to stop Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle again, as they did in week 2? They limited him to 65 yards between both of their receivers. We'll see if they can do that today. Bear with me, guys. I'm just going to cough real quick. I apologize about that, but we are, like I said, I am dealing with bronchitis and trying to get through this as much as I can for you guys because I love you guys and we want to give you the best show that we possibly can. Let's talk about the keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills and how they can secure a victory against those Miami Dolphins. And let's start with the press man coverage against Miami's wide receivers. It's obvious that both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are fast and can beat you down the field. It's important for the Buffalo Bills and their cornerbacks to use press man coverage to disrupt Tua's timing. In the first meeting of the season, you saw the Buffalo Bills give up only 65 yards to Waddle and Hill. Buffalo will need another strong performance from their cornerbacks today to defeat Miami. Now, the Bills, like I said, will be without Christian Benford in this game, but they will turn to a cornerback that is known for being physical out there on the field. Khalil Shakir, he has had a history with penalties throughout his career, but this is a game where I actually like what he's going to be able to do because not only is he going to be able to utilize his physical side of the ball going up against either Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, he's going to be able to play press man coverage and be at the line of scrimmage physical at times and just be around the ball. His coverage ability is key for the Buffalo Bills to get a victory today. And I know that Tua is going to test him early and often. So let's see what Khalil Shakir has. I know there's been rumors floating around of him being a trade candidate for the Buffalo Bills. Now his time has come where he can add some value to the Bills and secure an opportunity for him to either go and explore a trade and get some value for Buffalo in maybe a draft pick or a player, or if he has a big game, maybe he decides to stay around and Buffalo adds him to the mix in the cornerback room. We'll see what happens. The second key for me is mistake-free game. This is important because we saw last week from Josh Allen, he threw a few interceptions in let me rephrase that. Last week we saw Josh Allen throw his first interception of the year, and we also saw a few plays where he had some fumbles issues, and we heard from Anthony Weaver throughout the week, the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator. He stated that he believes that Josh Allen holds onto the ball like a loaf of bread, and there will be opportunities for them to be able to knock the ball out by going for Josh Allen's shoulder. We'll see what happens today if Josh Allen is able to take care of the ball. He only has 3 turnovers in this season, so we'll see if Josh Allen can control the ball, play mistake-free, and create opportunities for the Buffalo Bills to go down the field and put points on the board and win the turnover battle, which they are in first place overall in the turnover battle this season. Allen only threw the ball in their first matchup 19 times, and I believe that the expectation is going to be from Josh to throw the ball a little bit more in this matchup. He must take care of the ball in order for Buffalo to win. We saw what Josh did on a few occasions last week where he had some fumbles and interceptions. It'll be significant for him to win the turnover battle this week. Like I said, Buffalo leads the NFL in the turnover battle, and this is going to be a rivalry game. So we have to make sure that we play mistake-free football, not only with winning the turnover battle, but eliminating penalties. We saw it the last few games against the AFC East opponents where the Buffalo Bills have had a ton of issues with penalties. And this is an important game where you cannot let the rivalry get to you and tempers flare. Buffalo needs to eliminate penalties and play mentally strong in order to win this matchup. Let's talk about the key matchups for the Bills and their offense as well as their defense. The first key matchup for me is Tyreek Hill versus Rasul Douglas. This is a matchup where I want to get my popcorn ready and just enjoy it. Buffalo's top cornerback versus the number one rated player in the NFL in 2023. Who will get the best of each other? And Douglas has done an excellent job in coverage as well as tackling this season. Will he build on that in the second half of the NFL season for the Buffalo Bills? The second key matchup for me is Jalen Waddle versus Kaiir Elam. This matchup, as always, I thought it was going to be Christian Benford, but Kaiir Elam in the mix. Waddle has been extinct since the Dolphins offense lost Tua Tagovailoa. Waddle's targets will increase this week, but the question is, when will it happen? He will be going up against Kaiir Elam, who has been pretty much a project type player for the Buffalo Bills. He has a good game, has a bad game, makes some mistakes. It's going to be interesting to see. This is the first opportunity for the 2024 season for him to get his feet wet. We'll see what type of player he is going to be. He had a very good training camp as well as a very good offseason, so we'll see what happens there. I do see you guys in the chat room, AOL Instant Messenger coming in. Brett, Coop is out as well. Yes, Coop is out with a wrist injury. The rumor is, and there's been a couple of photos taken of him as he was entering Highmark Stadium. It seems like he has a brace on his left wrist. So we'll see what happens there, if he is going to miss multiple weeks or if this is just a 1 week thing and he'll be back next week. He was a full participant in practice on Wednesday and then became limited in practice later in the week. So maybe the injury was re-aggravated and that's what caused it. But Buffalo will turn to their wide receiver room of Keon Coleman, who the past few weeks, he has done an excellent job. Also, they will turn to Curtis Samuel, who has been a little bit disappointing this season, but Buffalo needs to get some value out of that contract that they had. Maybe you'll see a few passes thrown to Curtis Samuel in this game. They also have Khalil Shakir as well as Jalen Virgil, who is another option that the Bills can rely on in this game as well. So we'll see what happens there in the wide receiver room. Few options that they have, but they did elevate Jalen Virgil from the practice squad, so that's an option that they can go with as well in gadget situations. Now let's turn it over to the other keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills. Key matchups for the Buffalo Bills, and that's going to be the Bills' offensive line versus this Miami Dolphins defense. Now, this defense of the Miami Dolphins doesn't get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, and I believe that Josh Allen needs to just understand that he has to utilize the checkdowns in situations, not overreact, and just play a mistake-free game and play free. Get the ball to his playmakers. Don't try and force the ball into situations. That's where the issues start happening. If he is able to do that, then I think that the Bills will create a opportunity where they can go up by multiple touchdowns in the game. The Miami Dolphins are in a situation where they are in a must-win game. They're going to be hot. They're going to be hungry. They're going to want to come into this atmosphere with a major win and get back into the AFC East race. But if you can take a little bit of a punch and throw a couple punches towards the Miami Dolphins and take away their ability to do some good things, then they're going to lose their momentum and they're going to lose the opportunity to stay in the game, and it's going to deplete them. That's what I want to see from the Buffalo Bills, and they've done a good job of this throughout the season, is grinding out throughout the game, fighting hard, and staying in games. That's what I want to see from Buffalo today in order to get a win. Other keys to the game for me, just disrupt Tua's timing, cause incompletions, find ways to get involved on the field. That's what I want to see. Final thoughts from me. We're at the halfway point of the NFL season, and I can't believe how fast the season has gone. This game in Week 9 is going to be one of the best games of the 2024 season, with two prolific offenses that can put up a ton of points. The question isn't about how many points the other team can put up, but which team can get a stop on defense. We need to tune into this matchup and look for who's going to make a big play here. And I have a few players that I believe are going to make big plays. Number one, for me, it comes down to Keon Coleman, I think he's going to have a big day. He's played physical throughout the games, but I think it's going to be even better today. And you're going to see more out of him in this matchup. For me, I have the Bills winning this game by a score of 34 to 23. I think it's going to be a big day from Keon Coleman, and you'll see Josh Allen have a few touchdowns in this matchup. It's going to, like I said, it's going to be fun to watch. So get your popcorn ready and check out what they're going to do. Let's go over real quick to the inactives for both teams. I do want to start with the Buffalo Bills and their inactive room before I send it off to the coverage team. As I always do, I always say that I have the coverage team behind me that's going to be doing it. Let's turn it over to the inactives for both teams, starting with the Miami Dolphins as the visiting team. Cornerback Kader Kohou is inactive, as well as safety Javon Holland, their starting safety. Running back Jeff Wilson Jr., cornerback Storm Duck, offensive lineman Andrew Meyer, tight end Julian Hill, and defensive tackle Zach Sealer, all inactive for the Miami Dolphins. On the other side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills, the home team in this matchup, their biggest inactives, wide receiver Amari Cooper, who I touched on, will be inactive with a wrist injury. Safety Mike Edwards, who has been rumored to have some trade issues and want to be out of Buffalo, inactive again this week. Linebacker Nick Morrow, inactive. Fullback Reggie Gillum, the only player besides Cooper and Benford that is dealing with an injury, is out this week. So no fullback for the Buffalo Bills, but they will probably rely on either Dawson Knox or Quentin Morris as their fullback this week. Cornerback Christian Benford with another injury. This is the wrist injury as well, inactive. Guard / center Will Clapp, inactive as a healthy inactive. And defensive end Zion Logue, inactive for the Buffalo Bills. Other players on the Miami Dolphins, Craycraft, it is ruled out with injury as well. So he is still a member of the team, but is on injured reserve. He will not be playing in this week. Also active for the Miami Dolphins is Alec Ingold, who entered the week as questionable. For the Bills, there's some significant losses with Cooper, who they acquired at the trade deadline from the Cleveland Browns. But I think that they can be able to get over the hump today and find a way to get a win. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media. You can find us on our website, gobillspodcast.com. But you can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Threads, all of the major social media platforms you can find us on. Also, don't forget that after the show, we will update our podcast schedule. We haven't been able to update it throughout the last couple of weeks with some issues with our team, but we are back to full health, and we will have an updated podcast schedule on our channel. We will be live again on Monday for our Overreaction Monday. We'll be talking about everything that happens in Week 9. So stay tuned. Check out that show. That'll be live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't wait to have that one on there. And also don't forget to click on over to YouTube as well as Facebook. Drop likes. Subscribe to the channel. Let your friends know about the channel. As always, we appreciate you guys as well. And if you were able to go out to Buffalo this week and check out some of the autograph signings that you had in Buffalo, go on over to our Instagram page where you can drop a instant message on there, and you could be on the show. You could have an opportunity to have your photos put on the show next week in our preview show of the Buffalo Bills matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. We will see you next time for another edition of Countdown to Kickoff presented by GoBillsPodcast.com. We will see you at halftime, and we will also be back for our post-game show. As always, Go Bills.